Hello and welcome to this session. This is Professor Farhat, in which we will discuss Sarbanes-Oxley impact on corporate governance. In the prior session, we looked at Sarbanes-Oxley and we looked at its impact on the auditor or auditors. In this session, we'll focus on how Sarbanes-Oxley affect the corporate governance or the corporate responsibility. So Sarbanes-Oxley doesn't only affect auditors, it also places a significant responsibilities and impact on companies and people that runs them, the executives. Why? Because the purpose of Sarbanes-Oxley is to improve transparency in financial reporting, strengthen internal control, and those are related to what? To people that work at the company. Hold top management personally accountable. So in this session, we will focus on how Sarbanes-Oxley affected the corporation and its executives. Let's go ahead and get started. Before we proceed any further, I have a public announcement about my company, FarhatLectures.com. Most students and CPA candidates struggle not because audit is too hard, but because it's taught fast and the logic behind the procedure isn't explained clearly, and everything feels disconnected. At Farhat Lectures, we break audit down step by step. We explain the why behind the standards, the logic behind the assertions, risks, procedures, evidence, so the whole process finally clicks. When the concepts connect, audit becomes clear and manageable. You stop memorizing and start understanding. Ready for auditing to make sense? Start your free trial at farhatlectures.com. Starting with corporate responsibility, this section focuses on the role of the audit committee. And there's a lot you need to know about the audit committee, and we covered the audit committee in separate recording, but here we'll focus on its relationship to Sarbanes-Oxley and focuses on top executives, CEO and the CFO. Role of the public committee: each public company issuer must have an audit committee. What's the main role of the audit committee? One of the main role of the audit committee is to hire, appoints, and pay the external auditor. The reason is we let the audit committee do that because the audit committee is independent from management. And because it's independent from management, the audit committee hires this auditor that will audit management. It oversees the auditor's work. And it acts as a buffer zone between management and auditor. Here's what we have. Think of it as three parties. We have management as a party. We have auditors as a party. So this is one, this is two. And the audit committee is the third party. Therefore, if there's any disagreement between the auditor and management, it will go to the audit committee. That's the purpose of it. The auditor report directly to the audit committee, not to management. And hopefully we know what we should know why is because if management hires them, then they report to management. Management did not hire them. Who hires them? The audit committee. So you have to know this relationship. And in the real world, basically, Enron's audit committee failed to challenge management of balance sheet entities. So from, Enron, remember when I talked about in the prior session about Enron and WorldCom, and I said I will be using examples from these, not only those two companies, but mainly from those. One of the failure was that the audit committee did not challenge management about something called off-balance sheet entities where Enron was hiding some of the frauds that they were conducting that contributed to their collapse in 2001. So that's one thing. Another thing that the SOC affected the corporation is independence requirement when it comes to the audit committee. The audit committee be members of the board of directors and be independent. They should not have any conflict of interest. Specifically, how do we define the conflict of interest? They cannot receive consulting or advisory fee from the company because that defeats the whole purpose. Then they become basically, in quote, part of management. Cannot be affiliated with the company, no influence over decision made inside the company in terms of running the company. A board member who also provide consulting services to the company cannot serve on the audit committees. You cannot do that. For example, back to the real world, WorldCom board members with financial ties to the company failed to detect 11 billion accounting fraud that led to the bankruptcy because some of the board members, they had ties and, in quote, they failed to detect the fraud that was going on. Whistleblower responsibilities.
The audit committee must establish procedure to receive complaint about accounting or audit issue. So we should have like a release valve. If someone at the company knows about something, we should allow them to air that through a whistleblower, like an 800 hotline. Allow employee to report concern anonymously and confidentiality and without being penalized, without the fear of being fired. And we have to retain as the audit committee and address the complaint appropriately. Most importantly, address, not retain. We want to address it. So an employee report fraudulent expense, the audit committee must investigate. Sharon Watkins, a whistleblower back from Enron days, whistleblower warning about Enron accounting practices were ignored, leading to SOX mandatory whistleblower protection because nobody was listening to a lady called Sharon Watkins that if that was investigated, her complaint was investigated earlier, maybe you could have avoided this huge collapse of Enron. So now we have to have that whistleblower opportunity. Another important feature of Sarbanes-Oxley is the CEO and the CFO responsibilities under financial reporting certification. Senior executives, now people who run the company, must be personally responsible for the financial statement. They must personally certify. Required certification involve what? They must confirm that they review the financial report, that they understand it, they are accurate, they are complete, they are fairly presented. And responsibility for the internal control. Executives must also assert that internal control are properly designed, control have been evaluated within 90 days prior to reporting. And this report include their conclusiveness on the control effectiveness, whether it's working or not. And the reason why we do that, that law specifically stated, is because WorldCom executives Bernie Ebbers and Scott Sullivan, their CFO, were convicted after certifying fraudulent financial reporting that inflated income by billions. Now, what did they plea when they were being drilled by the Congress? They said they don't understand accounting. They did not really understand. Well, you can no longer said, I'm not a CPA, I cannot understand it, because you have to review it, certify it. Well, find someone to explain it to you if you don't understand it. That's the whole purpose of this. Required the disclosures to auditors. The CEO and the CFO must disclose if there's any material weakness in internal control, any significant deficiencies in internal control, because management should know about what's going on and we must report this. Any fraud, even if immaterial. On the CPA exam, they try to trick you. They tell you it's fraud, but it's immaterial. It's not that large, not that important. Fraud is always a red flag. Involving employees with control responsibilities, period. Immateriality is not influenced by fraud. Any significant changes in internal control. So for example, if control weakness exists in inventory tracking, we must disclose this. And who knows about the company more than the company itself? Yes, the auditor would know, but they would need to investigate. If the company is already aware of this, they need to let the auditor know. For example, Enron executives concealed special purpose entities, SPEs, and related party transaction from auditor, hiding billions in debt. They were aware of this, and they were doing it on purpose. And if you want to learn more about SPEs, well, you're responsible to learn about SPEs for audit, special purpose entities. We'll talk about SPEs later on. Those were the vehicles, the financial vehicles that they hid the debt. Improper influence on auditor. Okay, SOX strictly prohibit interference with auditor. Okay, prohibited action would include what? Management cannot pressure auditors. They cannot mislead auditors. They cannot manipulate audit evidence. They cannot coerce auditors to change conclusion. So you cannot interfere with them in any way, shape, or form. It's considered illegal action. WorldCom's CFO pressured internal auditor and manipulated accounting entries to meet Wall Street expectation, concealing the fraud. Now, he was doing it against internal auditor, but by extension, that influenced the external auditor as well, because the external auditor relies sometime on the internal auditor's work. Clawback of compensation is basically called the forfeiture rules. If a company restate or must restate financial statement because there was a material non-compliance, so we found an error, a non-compliance, and in the prior period, executives were paid based on the company's performance, and what we find out is the reason there was that performance because there was a material non-compliance. What must be repaid? They have to gonna go back and pay any bonuses or incentive-based compensation, because when they receive those based on the old financial statement, because the financial statement now are restated, reissued again under different figures. Any profit from stock sales, they have to pay it back. And the time period that applies to compensation received within 12 months following the incorrect financial statements, because this is when you usually get your bonus or incentive compensation. For example, former Health South CEO Richard Scrooge was ordered to repay bonuses after the company restated $2.7 billion in fraudulent earnings. Well, you got your bonus based on fraudulent numbers. We restated the numbers. Now you got to give the money back. What do you need to know up to this point? Key takeaway from this session, because this is rules, not rules. Actually, it's rules you have to know. Just make sure the audit committee oversee auditor and must be independent. Auditor directly report to the audit committee. CEO and CFO certify financial statement. Management is responsible for the internal control effectiveness, not the auditor. Whistleblower system are required, and interfering with the auditor is illegal, and executives must pay any compensation if a restatement occurred. Let's take a look at this multiple choice question from FarhatLectures.com. A board member received consultation fees from the company and serve on the audit committee. Let's take a look at this multiple choice question from FarhatLectures.com. A board member receives consulting fees from the company and serve on the audit committee. Which statement is correct? Can you do both of these things? It's permitted if fees are disclosed. So what you do is you say, okay, I just want to let you know one of our board members also provided consulting work for us, but we just told you. Is that acceptable? Not acceptable, not permitted. Permitted if approved by the shareholders. How about if the owners of the company says, yes, it's okay, we would let them do so. No, shareholders cannot approve that. Not permitted due to lack of independence. Yes, this is not permitted. The point I'm trying to make here is there are some no-nos. Once you provide consulting work, you are no longer independent. And if you're no longer independent, you cannot be part of the audit committee. Not permitted. Permitted if a material, no. Materiality is an irrelevant factor here. So not permitted due to the lack of independence. And the audit committee independence is an important factor. Now, if you are using Farhat Lectures, you can ask AI to explain the topic, explain the correct and incorrect answer, create a similar MCQ for you if you want to practice this concept in a different format. If you're studying for the CPA exam, the best investment you can make is invest in yourself. Don't shortchange yourself. Go to Farhat Lectures, look at additional multiple choice, additional simulations, additional lectures, podcast lessons, AI tools that will help you pass the exam. God bless.